Welcome, everybody, to another episode of Jabroni Drive. On this week's episode, Seth vs. Jinder Mahal. Is he injured? Cody, Rhodes, Drew McIntyre, R-Truth, Damien, Priest, and Judgement Day, Royal Rumble, Mami and The Man. Will this be the best episode of Jabroni Drive yet? I think so. Timmy! Anything you want to say to all the Schmidt and Lavellites out there listening?
All the Schmidt and Lavellites know that listening to Jabroni Drive is just too sweet, Tommy. And when you're a jabroni, you're a jabroni for life.
I love it. Jabroni Drive starts now.
Your entrances are getting more and more ridiculous, dude.
What are you talking about?
I think you went out. I think your mic went out for like 13 seconds there.
Oh, did you hear any of it?
I don't think so.
Oh, man. Oh, well. Well, we got a lot to cover on this week's episode of Jabroni Drive. But before we do that, we want to give a shout out to you, the listener. Thank you for listening. We love you. As you know, if you're a jabroni for life. We're putting out new episodes every week covering everything WWE, professional wrestling. We talk about it all. This is really where you can get all your information on what's going on in the WWE today. Kind of here where we speculate what might be happening in the future, different ideas for storylines, and some insider information as far as the history and the patterns of the WWE, like what tends to happen and how they go through their things. So we appreciate you listening. If you're liking what you're doing and you're not already doing it, this is your chance. Give us a subscribe. Give us a follow. Tell your friends. Tell your family. If they're into professional wrestling, check out Jabroni Drive. We have a big live event coming up this week. Not this week, January 27th. Check us out. Live from Graham's Pub, the Royal Rumble. It's going to be an all-time moment. Wait, it's going to be a big turnout, a good turnout. It's going to be nice. It's going to be fun. You're going to love it. I really did a good job of selling that. What do you think, Timmy?
You did an excellent job. You should come because there's going to be guest appearances from none other than Hulk Hogan. Well, a version of Hulk Hogan.
All right. And
we're not
maybe,
guaranteeing
some other surprises, maybe the Boulder will show up if you smell what I'm baking. Ice cold Steve Johnson. Can I get a heck yeah?
Oh yeah.
It's gonna be a fun time.
We're gonna have a good time. We're doing a nice little live broadcast from Graham's Pub, and we're expecting a pretty decent turnout. We're looking, anywhere we're upwards of 40 to 50 people here to come in, watch the Royal Rumble, listen to our analysis. We're gonna break down each of the matches, and obviously we're gonna get into the Royal Rumble, which is one of the premier live events for the WWE Universe.
That's right. You're going to love it. January 27th, live from Graham's Pub. Be kicking this thing off probably around 6:45. And like Timmy said, we'll be previewing all the matches, the Rumble, everything WWE. We're going to cover it all. Any questions, send us a message or bring them with you to the event. We're hoping to see you. It's going to be a great time. January 27th, live from Graham's Pub. That's 8919 Ridge Avenue. Come check us out.
It's also my birthday, so bring a gift.
Oh my gosh. Who knew? Timmy's birthday, the Royal Rumble. Does it get any better? I don't think it does.
So. No way.
All right, Timmy, let's get right into it. We're going to start with the heavyweight championship match, the main event for Monday Night Raw, this past Monday Night Raw, between Seth Rollins and Jinder Mahal. Now, there was a lot of talk over this past week from various people online. Tony Khan got involved and all the WWE fans. People were up in arms, other people defending it. Whatever it was, championship match between a former WWE champion going against the current WWE heavyweight champion, and a main event that I think for a Monday Night Raw, a cable TV show, is pretty cool. I Really enjoyed the match. I thought the WWE, I thought Seth and Jinder put on a hell of a show. There were several moments in that match, and I thought, no, they're not going to have Jinder win this tonight. They kind of caught me like, what's going on here? There was a lot of interference, and I just thought it was an overall fun, entertaining match. Timmy, what did you think?
Yeah, I thought it was an entertaining match myself. So from a guy that never saw Jinder win his title, apparently there's a couple callbacks into his previous match where he won the title where yeah, there was some interference and there were some similar actions that took place during the match. So the one thing I did notice is that going into the match, there was a small window. It was the time limit usually for a main event on Raw is anywhere between like 30 and 20 minutes, right? Like that's usually the time limit. And there was a women's tag team match right before that. And as soon as that got done, there was about 18 to 15 minutes left. And I'm like, man, this is a quick one, which made me think that maybe this could be an opportunity for Jinder Mahal to win this. And I'm like,
Shocked the world.
it just seemed, there was just a lot of things that seemed off about this match, building up to it. But when you get into the match and just like the nuts and bolts of it, it was like for Jinder not working. And again, I don't know what his schedule is in terms of dark shows and stuff like that, live events that we don't see on TV. He looked pretty good in my opinion, and he pulled off some solid moves. And there was a lot of like near misses and close falls, and it had me engaged, really engaged more than I thought I would be during this match because I thought it would just be an afterthought. To the point where I almost thought that like Seth was going to lose this match, and really at one point when you could tell that he got injured, Seth, during the match, you're like, all right, like at you're trying to determine whether or not it was an actual injury or if this was like part of the storyline because Seth has built in injuries into his storyline over the course of the last couple of years. And obviously with Shinsuke, like that whole thing, that whole backstory with his, no pun intended, with his back. And now like with the knee, it just seemed like it was kind of like perfect flow. And
Right.
here to find out it wasn't. So
Right. So we're gonna get into that, the injury. I liked the ending of it. So Damian Priest came out and he was obviously standing there waiting for maybe his moment to strike with the Money in the Bank contract. As he's standing there, they hit him once, kind of lay him out, and he's down on the ground and taken out as the match is going on. He gets back to his feet. He has a briefcase. Out comes Drew McIntyre, confronts him, takes him out. They're fighting along the barricade and going into the back. The briefcase still out there. The referee has his back turned. One of Jinder Mahal's goons grabs it, hits Seth Rollins in the head. Jinder Mahal finishing move, slams him down. One, two, last second kick out by Seth Rollins. That was a pretty cool moment, and I think whoever did the production of this match, it was just well done into thinking like, whoa, oh no, are they actually going to do this? So they get the close call. Seth eventually ends up, comes out, hits him with the curb stomp. One, two, three, retains the title for an overall, what I thought was a very entertaining match and a nice main event for Raw heading into the Royal Rumble. So, real quick, I want to talk about uh Damian Priest for a moment. So as the show was going on, he was out interacting with R-Truth, and that whole storyline is developing. R-Truth, very entertaining, funny. Like I like seeing him on the screen because it's like, where's this guy gonna go? And I like the majority of the stuff R-Truth did last night. Damian Priest comes back to the Judgment Day, the real members of the Judgment Day, and they start questioning kind of furthering that divide between him and the Judgment Day. And we're seeing that more and more that like, hey, they're asking questions or say, well, why are you doing this? And kind of like getting in his face a little bit of this. And he comes back and he gives the money and it's blown over. But these are the little seeds that are being planted to what we've speculated on the show of being the eventual Damian Priest getting kicked out of Judgment Day. And what we've also speculated, maybe Drew McIntyre joining the Judgment Day. I guess what I want to talk about right now is the development of R-Truth's character involved in all of this. He's funny. I enjoy his stuff on the show. They're giving him a lot of time on this show. It's like you
Feeling
get
a
hit
feeling a
every
butt.
hour.
Feeling a butt. Feeling a butt.
No, I enjoy R-Truth. I've compared him to similar to like I guess Sami Zayn's run last year with the Bloodline, that kind of comic relief, lovable character that kind of makes you like they've helped it helps me like Judgment Day more, to be honest. And I wonder if he's a little too far. A little like I'd like it just to like still do some funny stuff, but let's rein it back a little. Like he's so zany that it's like we get some of it, but some of it's like, all right, like, do your thing, but like let's make it make sense a little bit too at some point. You know what I mean? None of it it doesn't make a lot of sense right now, but like do
What's
you see
your
what I'm saying? I don't
not
have like a
well,
huge beef with it. I just want him to rein it in just a little bit and
so what's the stuff that's bothering you? Let's get to that.
well, the money that was out and he's just like dropping it all over the ring and stuff
I
like
feel
that
like
is
I feel like that might have been an accident
I was wondering if that was an accident, to be
because it looked
honest.
like it was rolled up and it popped out and it
Yeah.
just like shot everywhere.
Yeah.
I felt like that was supposed to be a quick little deal. And it turned into a mess.
Yeah.
I
And it was a mess. And so maybe that if it was an accident, that's it. Like we had like several things with truth and it's like, okay, like keep giving me like the truth like seeds in here, but like maybe make him like I don't know this like don't tag in is like it was a little weird, but I don't
Yeah,
know.
so I think that's part of like the problem with what they're trying to do with Truth is that he's not in the Judgment Day, but like he is in the Judgment Day, and then they're booking matches against the Judgment Day. So it like
Right, the matches against the Judge and Jay might be the problem for me.
it's confusing people like on what exactly is taking place here because like I get like I don't know like Priest they could probably do something better with it where like Priest comes out and supports our truth in different matches, not against like his own faction, right? Like
Right,
that's really like the strange dynamic is like how this is back to back weeks now that well not back to back weeks, but like in the last 3 weeks we've had the Miz and our truth together, right? Against essentially the Judgment Day. You
right.
got the Christmas match, and it's like, all right, well, whose side do you pick in here? And it puts Priest in a bad spot. Maybe they're doing that on purpose, but at the same time, it's not helping our Truth's character at all because there's no direction. Um, so I I hear what you're saying. It's a very confusing type of deal. Now, the the whole our truth thing makes me smile. So like when I'm watching
I agree. Yes.
I'm laughing like the entire time that I'm watching it. And that's not usually like the emotion that you get when you're watching Raw. So you watch this dude perform and he's hysterical and a lot of the things that he's doing. And a lot of it has to do with the whole storyline that he's embodied in. Um, but you're right, there's gotta be some sort of ending, right? And is our truth the guy that's going to be that and antagonist if you will or that guy that pushes Priest to leave the Judgment Day, like is that what we're building to?
No, no. I think he's Priest's buddy now, and I feel like he's the one that gets kicked out with Priest, and
He's not
maybe
even in it.
I know,
He's
right, right, right. But so I would like next week Priest has a match against Drew McIntyre. Maybe R-Truth comes out and does something to interfere with that, whether it be he costs Priest the match or he helps Priest beat Drew McIntyre kind of furthering that divide between, you know, like helping Priest win. So Priest will be like, I like this guy. He's with us now. And them secretly thinking, well, no, Drew's going to be our guy. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
we're
Well,
leaving you for Drew. You
and
know?
then Priest gives yeah, at the end of the match he gives him the choke slam, and
Yeah.
he's like kind of
Shrugs it off like, well,
yeah,
you
like
wrong place, wrong time, buddy. You
he's
know, like
indifferent about it, and he felt bad like as he's watching those guys or R-Truth walk away. So you get this again this weird dynamic between R-Truth and Priest, and where is it going? Um, but it keeps you thinking, right? Like, but I do agree with you that it's a strange type of booking
yeah.
that they have him in, and I don't think putting him against the faction does him any
Right.
good.
I would say from now on, no, because he won against JD, he beat JD to get in, right? And then there was the tag matches a couple times now with he's Miz's partner, and he goes against him. So if I were them, maybe say, hey, you want to be in the group, you have a match against Miz tonight, like if you beat Miz, whatever. So like let's maybe do something like that. Just no more if he's in it, no more
But
matches against the faction. If he's not in it, beat him down and like get him out.
the whole like like that. The other thing that bothered me about that was like, hey, don't tag in tonight, and there was nothing to that at all.
Yeah,
Like,
right.
so I was wondering how that was going to play out, and it didn't have any bearing on the match whatsoever.
Yeah.
Like he was the first person in. He would like
Well, because he didn't tag in.
yeah. Uh, mm,
Yeah. Hey, yeah. It was I think you nailed
it's
it
a
on the
little bit of
head.
a
No
mess.
more matches against the Judgment Day for our truth. I think it'll help the story move on. So let's get into now the big news from that match. Seth Rollins injured. And we haven't gotten any confirmation on the severity of the injury yet, but right now we kind of just want to talk about if the injury is something that will keep him out of for a long period of time, and we're talking through WrestleMania. Where does this leave WWE? Because he's wrapped up as the heavyweight champion, entangled in several storylines with him, the Money in the Bank cash in with Damien, the thing with Drew McIntyre, obviously the Royal Rumble coming up, and if someone wins that, they might challenge Seth Rollins, and the big one, him and CM Punk that everyone's talking about. So if he's injured, that's going to be a huge loss for WWE and maybe where they were going creatively. Where do you think WWE can go if he is injured? Do they put up the title in a tournament or make the winner of the Royal Rumble the champion or maybe say the final two will go against each other or I don't know. How the heck will they do that?
This could be honestly a blessing in disguise because you have a feeling that Seth would probably drop this title at some point, right? Like moving forward, like in the next month or two, right? Like possibly at WrestleMania. And this could be something a little out of the ordinary, but like at WrestleMania, if you have, five, six, eight guys that, and we talked about all these individuals that are world heavyweight title like worthy, right? And you still have Priest with the Money in the Bank contract that he's been carrying around that he's been threatening for pretty much every single match that Seth Rollins has. He shows up. Um, you could really develop something special here for WrestleMania. Uh, Usually, as you know, the WrestleMania or the Royal Rumble champ gets a shot at the title, being what we would say is Roman Reigns' title, the Universal Champion, right? So I think if you stick with that premise, right? Seth's not supposed to defend that heavyweight title at Royal Rumble anyway. If he has to relinquish because of an injury, you could really like set up something for like elimination chamber,
Right.
right? Where hey, you have was it six wrestlers or four?
One, two, three, four,
Five, five.
six.
Six
Six.
or
Four
yeah.
guys in the chambers and
Yep.
two start the match.
I mean, that's a per you could do. I mean, you could. I mean, this is unprecedented, but like you
The
do
winner
like
of that could win the title.
that, or you could do almost two elimination chamber matches, like where like you have 12 guys going at it. Like that's
And the
like you,
winners face each other at WrestleMania for the title.
yeah, like something,
That would be cool.
yeah.
That's a man. That would be cool. I don't. Man, that's
It's
because they're gonna have a
it,
women's one and they're gonna have
yeah.
a men's one. So you're adding a third. That would be cool. I just don't think for as far as like the setup and everything like that, if they would be willing to do that. Another thing that it would add if he does leave, similar to like the Shawn Michaels Razor Ramon thing, when
Ladder match.
he comes back, hey, I never lost this title. I had to relinquish it. Something like a ladder match to decide that these are all things, different ideas that they could do. They could have a tournament to decide who faces for the heavyweight championship, a tournament to decide who's going to be like the two contenders for the heavyweight championship. Hopefully it's just a minor injury or storyline thing that, but you could tell he did the moonsault off the ropes and his knee hit and it kind of just hit in a funky way where it looked like he banged it and maybe extended it a little too much.
Could have been
And
hyperextended.
he's got knee injuries in the past, so who knows what it is. Hopefully it's something and it might be, like you said, a blessing in disguise in another way that he's not going to be in the ring every week headed into WrestleMania just rehabbing and getting fully healthy so he's good for WrestleMania. It's like, hey, let's pump the brakes a little bit here, bud. Like, we want to make sure you're there for the biggest show of the year. You're not going to have a match until WrestleMania or shortly before, like a tag or something like that. Just let's keep you safe and healthy so that you can go all out at Mania.
The things that really like kind of concern me though is I watched that match twice, and the second time around after I saw that injury, there was a reversal of a suplex where he did the Falcon Arrow, or
Yeah.
and it just looked like he had a lot of trouble putting weight on that.
Hmm.
Jumping off the rope,
Jumping off the rope, you saw the turn. He turned to
yeah,
kind of not land on it.
yeah.
Oh
So
man,
like,
I really hope it's nothing major.
but I will say, and again, you have been very critical of Seth Rollins, and that dude, whatever his injury was, if it's serious or not, I mean, you could tell that something was bothering him. Like he goes and finishes the match, and the guy is a warrior, man. Like he is, he's one of the best in the business, and it's just
Absolutely.
you got to respect the guy that is hurt. Um, in the same way that you saw Cody go out with the torn pec, and hopefully he doesn't have a torn muscle. Like, look, you saw Charlotte get her knee torn, and she couldn't do a thing after that. Like
Yeah.
Seth had some stability there, which is a great sign, but at the same time, you don't know how damaged it is until you actually get the MRI and all that stuff. But I mean, lately it's been kind of a wild card, man, with all these injuries in the WWE and these mishaps like in the ring. And I know these guys push each other and they try to do the best they can. But man, like we're seeing concussions. We saw Austin Theory
Mellow.
and Mello go down and their match wasn't finished. And it just there's a lot of dangerous spots and like people like talk shit about this sport and they say it's fake, man. It, it's a risky sport, man. And they put their bodies and they put their livelihoods at stake every time they go out there. They really push the envelope to entertain. And it's certainly a sport. Yeah, is it choreographed? Sure. But I mean, this is the stuff that they deal with on a weekly basis. Injuries do happen and we're seeing that. Yeah, it's a bad timing because it's right before WrestleMania, but there's a lot of superstars that have been going down because of injury.
Yep. And, this isn't the first time this has happened to Seth Rollins. 8 years ago, when he was the champion, he tore his ACL, MCL, I believe, in a match versus Kane, finished that match as well, and had to miss WrestleMania. He tore it right after, I believe, Survivor Series, maybe in like a December show, and he had to miss WrestleMania. And if you haven't seen it, I would go check it out. it's a 24/7 where they follow him around in his whole rehab process and everything like that. And it gets to where he eventually comes back and returns at, I want to say it was Backlash, after WrestleMania. But man, he's sitting there at WrestleMania 32. It was in Texas at Dallas State AT&T, and 100,000 people, and they're going crazy, and he's just sitting there, and you could just see how upset he was that he wasn't out there wrestling and what was supposed to be his moment. So this is another year that is shaping up for like to be a main event moment for Seth Rollins. So like we mentioned, hopefully it's nothing major. Even if it's something where he has to take a month off or so to rehab, hopefully it's something that he can come back from 100% and ready to go for WrestleMania. All right, so let's move on. By the way, that whole thing that you mentioned about it's not it's real, it's very real. These guys are on that tightrope, like you're saying, with no net underneath them. And just recently on an interview in Perth, Australia. They're promoting Elimination Chamber, and you had two guys, LA Knight and Grayson Waller, there. And people like to joke around with the wrestlers, and I think sometimes they take offense to that, especially I know it's a triggering word for people to say it's fake, you know. I've seen wrestlers in the past go off. And these guys like, yo, like if you want to go, and that's something that's very old school in the biz and keeping that realism that like, you know, back in the day, you had to go out and people were always trying to take shots at you and you had to defend yourself and be able to throw down or else you couldn't sell your product. So I think they take offense to that because they know how tough you have to be a professional wrestler. Probably some of the toughest guys going in the entertainment world for sure. All right. So another big moment and what started the show and was a really hot moment for WWE. Cody Rhodes comes out and he does his thing. You know, what do y'all want to talk about? He wanted to address the Royal Rumble coming up, and lo and behold, he is interrupted by Drew McIntyre. And I love this promo. Let's get to some of the meat and bones of this. The first thing we want to hear now is Drew kind of comes out and this is his character and what he's done so well is he comes out and he's starting and he's very real and very raw in what he says and it's almost like in friendly way he says but then there's a little bit of a twist, so let's give a listen to what Drew had to say.
I've seen what people are saying. It doesn't matter who comes back. I've seen the gifts, I've seen the jokes. Screw it. You put your head down, you keep working, keep doing what you're doing, and you're going to be the first member of your family to raise that championship. You are going to finish the story. But not before I finish mine.
So that is what Drew has been doing so well, where he comes out and he gives you that realism. He gives you that like you're cheering for this guy because he has a great story. He's done it all. He was with the company. He got fired. He went into the indie scene. He built himself into the indie scene where they wanted him back. He comes back NXT champion, comes to the main roster, wins the Rumble, main events WrestleMania during COVID and the shutdown, wins in front of nobody, beats Brock Lesnar in the main event of WrestleMania, which I mean had to be your dream come true, and it's just not what you expected. He deserves to finish his story, and this promo was just I loved it. There's so much there with these two and how much they have involved with each other, and just another great job by WWE putting another wrinkle into this story of where are we going.
Whoever is writing for Drew, and God bless Drew if he's the one that's coming up with this material because it is very personal to Drew. And he's going down a path in recent weeks where he's basically telling the truth. And what I think again, and I think I might have mentioned this in the past, and I hate always saying that, but like I have to say it because he is really giving you a peek behind the scenes on the stuff that you don't really even know about. right? So like as a viewer, you're going, shit, I didn't know about any of this stuff. This is kind of like cool. This is like behind the scenes shit. Like if you ever seen like a
That they were
movie, right?
tag champions together and stuff like that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, and like traveled on the road and all this stuff. Like he did the same thing with CM Punk last week, right? And he gives you a peek at like what their relationship is, and not just from like a wrestling standpoint, but like from a human to human, like, hey, this is our real relationship, right? And
Yeah. Same
again,
age, he said. We're the same age. We've been
yeah,
through, yeah, yeah, it was awesome.
it's just such a great angle because it just allows us to really kind of like we look at these superstars, right? And we see them for what they are. They're these wrestlers. And like this is all like a soap opera and all that stuff. But like when you tell a storyline that has so much authenticity to it, and there's so much reality,
And
and again,
the
yeah,
layers of it, the
and
decade of this story.
yeah, and we talk about blurring the lines. Like this is what he is doing. Like blurring the lines is just like the key thing here that we keep on talking about. And Drew is just doing such an incredible job of really making it personal to him, right?
Yeah,
And still keeping it to a level where we're like, wow, like
yeah.
what is going on here? Like with this dude, like he is a menace almost to a society, but at the same time, he's on this mission, right, to accomplish something, and people are in his way, and he don't give a fuck.
Right. He said,
And
it doesn't matter. I'm going to accomplish my goal.
he's willing to tear down all these personal relationships that he has to get his to his final destination, and it's really just like a great storyline, and whoever's writing for him, again, I said this, if Drew is doing this stuff on his own, my God, he's operating at a different level right now, and it's clear as day to me that he's one of the best in the game right now.
I truly feel he's doing this, and like I shouldn't say like on his own. I believe that this is the story we're telling. How are we going about this? And he says, I'm going to hit him with this. I'm going to do this. Kind of like LA Knight in recent interviews is saying, okay, I'm coming back when he went from the manager of the models, Maximum Male Models, and then became LA Knight again. And he said, I'm going to do this and like I'm starting to come out of my, but at some point I'm going to take the reins and I'm going to do me. All the greats do that. So I really feel like Drew is doing that. And I was saying to you and HJB, it's just when we talk about the best wrestlers in the world right now, Drew McIntyre is right up there with anyone in the world. I love this guy. I know we talk about him all the time on the show, and we should because he's that good. And every week he comes out and it's just awesome. He is in the
Well,
prime of his career, and
there's a
I'm
reason.
so glad we get to see it.
Sorry to interrupt, but there's a
No.
reason why they're putting them at the top of the show.
Right. Every
He's
week.
he's been leading off the show left and right, and God, I remember months ago when we were concerned about him not coming back, right? Like we're just like
Right.
Jesus Christ. Like,
Well, they probably said to him, "Hey, you come back and you're we're going with you, doggy. We love you."
yeah.
You know what I mean? Like they had to. But so they're doing their promo, and Drew McIntyre says to Cody, you need to finish your story. But at WrestleMania this year, the story belongs to Drew McIntyre. And so then Cody had this to respond.
With you, that's all it is, right? It's if. Drew, you think that we're the same. No, you are brimming with grievances and you want me to be like you. You want that for me. But the difference is when I wonder, when I speculate, am I going to finish the story? I do not look at you, Drew McIntyre. I look two places, right here and right there.
He's pointing to the ring and then to the fans.
So if you want to settle this in the Royal Rumble, I sure as hell will give you something else to complain about. And another thing, you keep mentioning this last match that we had. You told the story about the last match between you and I. Let me ask you something about it. Who won?
Mic drop. And Cody, man, to his credit, he sits there, he listens to Drew, who, and that can be intimidating, but just shows how professional and how seasoned these guys are, how much they've been through, that Cody's ready to go, and they're at the top of their games. And it's like we have so many people. Seth's at the top of his game. Cody's at the top of his game. Drew's at the top of his game. Gunther's at the top of his game. Roman's at the top of his game. I mean, it's just like there's so much talent in the WWE. But as he's saying, Drew mentioned the match, and that's where he's going to be. Told him you are eventually going to be the man who finishes the story and raises a belt. And he references how he's going to take the title. Cody says, "Oh, is that so? You're going to stop me from winning the match?" Blah blah blah. All this stuff. You blame everyone else. I don't do that. You blame you. You got this and that. If. And by the way, that last match you referenced, who won that match? Because I won that match, he was saying. So, what a promo, man. I was gassed up after that one. What a way to start Monday Night Raw. These two guys, and a great job by WWE now putting these two guys together. And Timmy, I want to get your comments on that, the finishing of that promo, and then now the tease to next week, that revolving door that is still going when you're putting all these guys together next week in the ring. We're gonna have Cody and CM Punk do some promo together. So they've done a great job of putting all these guys and highlighting them with each other. You know what I'm saying? Seth with Punk, Punk with McIntyre, McIntyre with Cody, now Cody with Punk.
Yeah, interchangeable parts. You're seeing again different dynamics with these wrestlers. Um, but like the end of the promo was something that I love from Cody, because look, he is very I'm not saying passive, but he's very diplomatic in the way he speaks when he does promos, right? Like he comes out, what do you want to talk about? That's his like initial thing, right? He doesn't
Right.
come out and talk about what he wants to talk about, right? He asks the crowd, what do you want to talk about? Obviously, he has an agenda of what he wants to speak about. But there's a lot of like passiveness in like Cody's approach sometimes to the way he does promos. And I like the aggressiveness at the end from Cody in where he says, you know what? He goes, remember who won that last match.
Yeah.
And Mike drops and walks off. Because it's just it tells you that he's ready for a fight. And I know Cody, dude, Cody's awesome at what he does. And like his reign since he's come back to the WWE has been flawless. He's done everything right. He's done I don't think there's been a misstep for him at all. Like there's not one thing I can complain about from seeing him. And like I was here from the beginning when he first came back. I was like all in, right?
Right.
And it's it's cool to see like where this is developed into, and Cody's a star. But like when you add in, like you said, Drew and all these other interchangeable parts, the one thing that like kind of sucks the life out of it is the one guy that the HJB has brought up over and over again, and we felt like this was over. Like we talked about Drew, we talked about CM Punk, he's involved, and then all of a sudden at the end of Raw, we get the promo from Shinsuke. Cody, watch out! I'm not
Yeah.
done with you. It's like, come on, like we're done with you,
Yeah.
Shinsuke. Like we're done with you. Like you don't even stack up against this level of what they're putting out, and
You're
and
not on their level. He's not on their level
in
in
the
any
WWE.
facet. In any
What like
facet.
so why would they even roll that out there again? Like
I don't know, man. I have no idea. And I'm hopefully like it's just to like throw Shinsuke a bone, like, hey, we're not done with you yet, but like it's time to move him on from Cody. I just don't.
I don't want to spend a ton of time on it. It's just worth mentioning because he's in that. He was mentioned in that again.
Right.
Like,
Well,
oh,
maybe that leads us to our next topic, and maybe this is a good segue. So we talked about how, it was Seth and Punk, Drew and Punk, Drew and Cody. Next week, Cody and Punk. And I would say your three front runners to win the Royal Rumble are Cody, Drew, and Punk, right? I would say, and not in that order. I guess if I were to say the odds-on favorite is Punk to win it, and then Cody, and then Drew. And then I think Gunther might be in that same category as Drew. You can throw Brock Lesnar up there. They mentioned Jey Uso previously about possibly winning the Royal Rumble. And so maybe they were having Shinsuke come out here and do this and kind of saying like he's going to be in the Royal Rumble too, you know what I mean? And so it's like maybe he's just like mentioning it so that when you're in there, it's like, oh no, these two have a major history with each other and this and that. Who knows where that goes? But I want to talk about real quickly the Royal Rumble and how we just mentioned there's a lot of guys out there. Like, so there's a top five guys here, six guys that could win this Royal Rumble. I mean, in LA Knight, I know he has a match. Sometimes people have a match and then enter later. They've done a good job of blurring those who is going to win the Royal Rumble. So Timmy, I want you to kind of talk about that and then give me your favorite to win the Royal Rumble. And if your favorite isn't the person that you want to win the Royal Rumble, who would you like to see win the Royal Rumble?
all right. So again, if we're assuming that the
Assuming
Royal,
Seth is healthy as well.
okay, so we're assuming the winner of the Royal Rumble will face Drew McIntyre, right? Or will
Uh
fit Jesus Christ, will face Roman Reigns for the Universal title, correct?
oh yeah, I didn't mention The Rock then too. I guess he could be in the Royal Rumble too. That's a good point. So The
Well,
Rock, another one.
Tom. Before we get deep into this, I've just brought up the men's Royal Rumble current odds.
Okay.
Are you ready?
And where's this? What site is this on? Like a
This is
Vegas?
this is on wrestlingjunkie.com.
Okay.
So the best odds right now, CM Punk at plus 150, Cody Rhodes at plus 275, Gunther plus 300, Randy Orton plus 600, LA Knight, The Rock at plus 700.
Oh boy.
Then Drew McIntyre plus 1,000, Jey Uso plus 1,000. Are you ready for this one?
Oh boy. Here we go. Brock Lesnar.
Nope. Brock Lesnar is plus 3,300. With the 10th best odds to win the Royal Rumble, none other than MJF.
Whoa. No way. No way is MJF coming from AEW and immediately winning the Royal Rumble. No way. Not
MJF has
happening.
MJF has better odds than Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens, Solo Sikoa, and Brock Lesnar.
Wow. So Timmy, you said something. I'm assuming, I feel like the winner of the Royal Rumble is going to be facing Seth Rollins at the main event of WrestleMania. I feel like the winner of the Royal Rumble will be the one facing Seth Rollins. That's just the way I see it happening. I don't know if The Rock enters the Royal Rumble, that will change. I feel like if The Rock is in the Royal Rumble, I feel like he wins it.
Has The
So
Rock won the Royal Rumble
The
before?
Rock won the Royal Rumble. He won it in 2000.
So
It's
this
been
is,
24 years.
dude.
And the last person to win a Royal Rumble back-to-back years was 97, 98, Stone Cold Steve Austin. So Cody winning, it would be the first time since 98 that someone has won back-to-back years.
Dude, we are in for quite the ride here, Tom,
The
because
Rumble's going to be, man, I don't know, man. Golly. And you know what? You can see it all live at Graham's Pub, January 27th. It's going to be so, and like, let's just give kudos to WWE, man. They have done a great job of, bringing back wrestlers, signing different whispers, who's coming here. I mean, if MJF comes out at the fucking Royal Rumble, dude, I might lose my mind.
And like, look, I don't even know if I'm that even excited about if that it happens. Again, we've broached this topic before. It would be it would be such a like crazy deal because you're just adding more and more talent to the roster. But I mean, there's speculation that he's going to be out for a year with like these injuries that he has. Is that a work? Like, is that something that he's just doing just to like, hey, like maybe he's already signed a deal? Like who knows? Like, he could be out. Like, he's been out of like, I think he's been off AEW TV for at least a month now.
Honestly,
Like,
I think the best move would be for that. I really think the best move would be is if MJF is coming to WWE. I think the best move would be you get Cody versus Roman at WrestleMania and MJF. Next thing you
oh,
know, this masked man comes from the crowd, interferes, and it's MJF, and he's in the bloodline now. And I just feel like
he's not.
that
He
would
can't go
be
bloodline.
why not? He's Roman's boy now. He's coming with Roman, He'll eventually turn
Um.
on Roman.
All right, so let's kind of reel it in here. I know the
Yeah.
MJF thing kind of threw us out, but um, if we're going Rumble, all right. So my prediction for the Rumble, are we doing official predictions here, or
No,
how are we
I'm
doing?
just saying, like, as it's going, we'll make our official predictions that day of the show. I mean, if you want me, I'll go first. I think, the odds-on favorite. I think CM Punk wins the Royal Rumble this year, and I think it's him versus Seth at WrestleMania, and that'll be awesome. That'll be incredible. WrestleMania, like that, all that whole build to that with those two on the mic promos leading to that match, I think will be incredible. You already have an incredible story there. Me being like the kind of like crazy wrestling fan doesn't love the obvious choice. That's just like that's something I need to go to counseling about. That's not necessarily wrestling's fault. It's just that I that seems like the track, the path, the obvious choice, like, and it will be awesome. I just like curveballs. You know what I mean? That's just the way I am. So
But
if I were to
here
pick someone, I would have Drew McIntyre win the Royal Rumble. If I could pick, I would go Drew.
I go that route too. But I think that all right. Here's what I'll say. I think Gunther will win the Royal Rumble this year. I also think that if we see The Rock in the Royal Rumble, he's going to win it.
Yeah, I agree. If
I think
Rock
it's
comes in the Rumble, he's winning.
yeah, it's a guarantee. If we see him, and he'll probably come out like he's not going to come out first.
No, he'll be
He'll
30th.
he'll be like 28, 29, or 30.
Yeah.
The musical hit, it'll be the biggest pop, and he'll come down, and it might be a 5 to 7 minute deal, and he yeah ends up winning it. But
Yeah.
that's my opinion. I think that Gunther is on such a trajectory that he could possibly hold both titles. Has there ever been a champion that holds the Intercontinental and the WWE Universal Championship?
The Intercontinental and the Universal specifically? No.
Well, like
Uh
the both titles. Has anyone ever held both titles at the same time?
Intercontinental. I don't remember one. I know Seth had the United States and the heavyweight championship at one time. I know Shawn Michaels had the European and the heavyweight championship at one time, but I don't know. There's some gray area there in like the like 2004 to 9 area that I'm not positive on that, but I don't recall one Intercontinental and heavyweight championship.
It's a lot of burden to hold, but I mean he could win it and face Seth too. He could.
I
I
think
mean I
Lesnar eliminates him, and I think that sets up the
ooh
Lesnar Gunther match at WrestleMania. I would love the storyline that I kind of mapped out before, where I would love the first entrant to be CM Punk and the second entrant to be John Cena. And those two start the show. And John Cena's a big surprise. And of course, Cena would have to commit to being at the shows leading up to WrestleMania. At least 3 shows I would need him at WrestleMania to cut promos with him and CM Punk. One could be without Punk there, 2 with Punk. They go on the mics, battle it out. That match, Cena versus Punk at WrestleMania, is a main event match. Doesn't have to finish the show on a night. It is a main event match. I think the correct call is to have Cena show up if he's even in this right now. Him and Punk eliminate each other. They keep battling out in the I would love them to fight the whole Rumble. They're still going at it. They cut to, oh, you're not going to believe this, in the parking lot. These two, they just can't stop fighting each other, and lead to this match at WrestleMania between them two, because then you could have Drew win it, challenge Seth. You get the turn from Priest into him joining the Judgment Day. Cody wins Elimination Chamber.
Got it all planned out. Here
I got
is.
it all mapped out. And then at SummerSlam, no. But I would just love that.
Randy Orton, they just said that Randy Orton, he did an interview, I think today, on a WWE program, saying that the one match that he would love to do is him versus Cena at WrestleMania, because he never got to wrestle Cena. And he said him and Cena have had battles over the years, and he would love to do that match.
I mean, that's a match. I mean, you would like there to be a title on the line.
Well, that's what he said. That's what he said too.
Because they both have
the winner would be the wow.
Now, let me tell you this. If Seth Rollins is injured, that's the two you have fight at WrestleMania. Winner gets the title. You have a tournament somehow, and all these guys are entered into it. I want Cena versus Orton at WrestleMania. Winner gets the title. If Seth is injured, that would be, I think, the call. Like, you somehow figured out that he's going against Cena for that title match.
And then the winner is the all-time most decorated champion ever.
That would be something right there, dude. That if Seth is injured, I don't know how they would make that all work, being that he's on SmackDown and whatnot. But just be like, we're gonna have a tournament, and on SmackDown, we're gonna have a tournament on Raw. The winners of those tournaments will face each other at WrestleMania. That would be pretty freaking sweet right there. All right, let's go to another big promo from Monday night, and that was between Mami and The Man. So Mami comes out and she starts addressing the women's division and where it's headed and what somebody wants to do if they win the Women's Royal Rumble.
So take this as a warning to whoever wins the Royal Rumble match. If you decide to waste your WrestleMania then I would advise you to choose me. But if you don't want to waste that opportunity of yours, choose someone else. Because it's going to end up just like it did last year. Because Mami is always on top.
Well, there's Mami. And there's the man.
All right, so Becky Lynch comes out. They start going into a bit of their promo, and Becky has this to say.
I think you might be better than me. But I need to prove that you're not. And to do that, I need to take that title from you. And to do that, I need to win the Royal Rumble. I need to point to the sign. I need to declare at WrestleMania it will be Mami versus the man.
All right. So I really liked this promo. I thought it was well done. They come out. I thought Mommy was a bit like to even
It's
when
off
you
her
hear,
game.
yeah, she seemed a little bit off her game. So I don't know what. Maybe something was maybe they travel so much. She's just getting back. Who knows what it was? But you saw her stumble a little bit with where she was going. She collected herself though, and she finished the promo strong. Becky Lynch comes out and she starts cutting her promo and they were circling each other. It was kind of a cool moment. And
Like,
as far as the women's wrestlers go, this is almost as big as it gets. I mean, these are two of the top mommies, the best in the game right now, and Becky Lynch is obviously a very, very good women's wrestler and has been for years. Royal Rumble winner, main event of WrestleMania. Now, she was saying some things. I don't think all her stuff hit though. Like when she said, "We both won the Royal Rumble, but only one of us went on to win the main event." It's like, well, I mean, Mommy and Charlotte won the quote unquote co-main event. Like they weren't the final match. So like let's get over it. Some of the best matches of all time aren't the final match. Either way, good promo. And I think the man versus Mommy is something that you can sell for WrestleMania.
yeah, that's easily like it's such an easy sell. But like it's strange to me, um, the trajectory of what was going on with Nia Jax, right? Like what happened to her? Like she just beat mommy, or she just beat the man. So now, like, where
Yeah,
did
you
she go?
just step in line now. The man gets to jump in line. I think it's their job of trying to sell the Rumble, and I guess that's a question for us to ask now. Who wins the women's Royal Rumble? I mean, is Charlotte going to be able to compete in the women's Royal Rumble? Does the man Becky Lynch win it? Does Nia Jax win? She's facing Mommy at the Royal Rumble, right? So who wins the women's? Does Liv Morgan come back because they have a story? Rhea and Liv were women's tag team champions together, and then they got separated via injury. Liv came back. They were the first two entrants in the Women's Royal Rumble last year. Mommy eliminated Rhea at the end to win it. Does a Bailey win it? Does Sasha Banks come in? Does she win it? Does Jade Cargill make her first in-ring appearance and win the Royal Rumble?
There's going to be three, I think, potential returns for women. Alexa Bliss, I think, comes back. I think Jade Cargill makes her debut. And there's been a lot of talk about Sasha Banks, aka what's her name? Something Money Monet.
Monet Davis, or no, Monet Davis is an actress, isn't she? Yeah, it's something Monet. I can't think of it right now.
But it's there. I mean, look,
Also, another rumor out there is AJ Lee. If you're not familiar with AJ Lee is a former Divas champion, women's champion, and CM Punk's wife is rumored to be coming back.
and
She posted something on Instagram today of her wearing her old wrestling boots.
was she a good wrestler?
Um, is she a good wrestler? You know what? She was a Divas champion, all right? So before it was the women's championship, they were the Divas. And so there wasn't as much emphasis on the
Different type of wrestling.
yeah, it wasn't like they were there. She wasn't Mommy. She wasn't Charlotte. She wasn't, Bianca Belair, wasn't doing all those types of things, but she was talented. She kind of had this kooky, zany, like kind of sweet, but I'm crazy character.
Oh, was she
She
doing like
reminds
this?
me of Alexa
She's this
Bliss.
like skip around and stuff.
Yes, she used to
I
skip
remember her.
around.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
Short jean shorts. She had like the
Yes.
Converse All-Star boots that like laced up high, like and I think she's was talented, but she's obviously been away from the business for a long time too. But someone that if you want to come back and give a shot at WrestleMania, I think would be something you could sell for sure because she's CM Punk's wife as well. So there's a story with all of that.
Sure. Yeah, I don't know. Like, honestly, to give a pick about female Royal Rumble,
Bianca could win again. She's already won it.
I just
I'm gonna say Liv Morgan is kind of my dark horse. Maybe you get Did Carmella have her baby yet? I think they
Uh,
had their baby, and that was
I
several
like
months ago. Maybe
I
she
like
comes back.
Maxine. I like Maxine Dupri.
Oh, I love Maxine Dupree. Whether or not she wins the Royal Rumble is a whole nother story. And you could get Raquel
You,
Rodriguez.
she would win my Royal Rumble.
She's won my yeah, yo, she's the winner. She's the winner. She's the she's the 16-time champ. She's the bee's knees. But cool promo. Where are the women's where are we going with this title shot? Who is it going to be that faces I mean, Jade Cargill would be an interesting one. Is she ready? I mean, she's had several months now to develop her skills in the
It is wild that she's been that buried for so long.
yeah.
Like she hasn't even had an appearance on WWE TV for a while. Like ever since like her announcement, like they signed her. Um, like could a wrestler be that bad?
I don't know. No, I don't think she's that bad. I've seen some stuff with her at AEW, but maybe they're just saving her for this Rumble. You know what I
Yeah, but
mean?
like how would that make you feel as a superstar? Like, dude, like can I please like fucking do something here?
Yeah. Well, maybe she got hurt a little bit down there. Who knows what's going on with that? But Jade Cargill, I would say AJ Lee's up there at the top of the list. Monet, is it? It's not Monet. Monet Davis is an actress, right? So
No, Monet Davis is like the pitcher from like
for the Philadelphia, like the
no
Little League
Little
World
League World
Series.
Series. Michelle Monet, isn't it?
Yeah, I don't know. So all right. Either way, we'll see who wins that, and we'll talk a little bit more about that next week. Let's get into our final topic of the day, and that the was supposed to be the six-man tag between
Mercedes Monet.
Mercedes Monet. Excuse me for not knowing that, everyone. Mercedes Monet, aka Sasha Banks. That would be a huge pop and a huge moment at the Royal Rumble if she comes back. So we got AJ Styles, LA Knight, Randy Orton versus um Solo Sikoa and Jimmy Uso. And so yet again, the GM, Nick Aldis, says we're going to have this match 3-on-3. And he's like, well, you know as well as I know that Roman Reigns is not here tonight. He's like, well, that's not my problem. They're going to be going at, then it'll be a handicap match. So then Paul Heyman is set out to try to find a wrestler that will join the Bloodline for the night, team with them. They can't seem to find anyone. So they come out and they take out Randy Orton to try to even the odds. They take out Randy Orton, he's gone. They're having this match, and it's going well. It's a decent match, but it basically was a reversal from last week's SmackDown. The match is going on, the guys are laid out. Boom. Randy Orton's music hits. And this time, Solo is looking in disbelief and scared, and Jimmy doesn't know what to do. And down comes Randy Orton, and Randy Orton, AJ Styles, and LA Knight get their revenge, taking out Jimmy Uso, Solo Sikoa, and doing a nod to the Shield, what looked like, or shots fired, I would say, lifting them up, the power bomb through the table, very Shield-esque, sending a message to Roman, I believe. Timmy, I liked the finish of this. It's good to have the good guys get over at some point. And I think it helps build where Roman is going to respond leading into the Royal Rumble. He'll be there on SmackDown this week. I'm interested to see what he has to say at the contract signing and where we will go. But the overall SmackDown, yet I thought was very entertaining, and another good SmackDown, and they've had three or four in a row now that I think have been pretty solid.
I gotta say well, not only like the end of the match, but like or not the final match. The way it started was really cool. The way the Bloodline attacked. Who was it?
Orton or guys in the back or something, or
No,
no,
they attacked.
Randy Orton.
No, it wasn't Randy Orton. It was God. Who was it that they beat the shit out of? Like to start the
Oh, to start the
Graves.
show.
Yeah,
No,
Graves or
no. Yeah, yeah, I know who you're talking about. The young guy. He's kind of a country boy.
long
Yeah,
hair. Yeah,
yeah.
They beat the hell out of him. Like they set the precedent, right? Like it was just like all right, we're gonna set the tone. Which is cool. Like that's stuff that we used to like ask for like a faction, like a heel faction is to like run shop and beat the shit out of people and like, hey, like show you what they're working with, right? Like,
Cameron
hey,
Grimes. Cameron
Cameron Grimes,
Grimes.
that's
That's
who
it.
it is. Um, but just a couple things like worth mentioning, like that the LWO match was like really like good. Like just in terms of like the high flying, like just technical stuff throughout the match, that was really good. But like obviously the meat and the potatoes is what we're looking at. Um, the Bloodline versus LA Knight and all that stuff. That was like a really, really, really cool match. It starts out as like the tag team match, and you're sitting there, you're like, man, like Randy Orton's not really even gonna wrestle in this thing. And then, halfway through the match, he comes down, he interjects himself into the match, and it was an ultimate beatdown of the Bloodline, which I
And
love.
they did
So
a
it's
good job of that too. Like we said the week before where they laid him out. This week they did a good job of really, making it like a real beatdown. They didn't just stop after a couple punches or something. So their timing was good on all of that.
Yeah, and you're thinking that like LA Knight and AJ Styles are gonna go at each other, and they didn't, and they just like got together and like we're like, hey, let's just beat the shit out of these dudes instead of each other, which is great.
Yeah. So
Um, God,
I was just gonna wrap it up, Timmy. Do you have anything more you want to say on that?
no, I mean, dude, we're leading up to the Royal Rumble here. There's what one, two,
That's it. There'll be two more
two
SmackDowns,
shows.
one more
There's
Raw.
yeah, so we got three
Wow,
shows
we're
left.
really getting into it, man. This is exciting. What a time to be a wrestling fan. We're getting right into the meat and bone, the meat and potatoes, the the prime cut of WW. I don't know. I think I'm hungry. So it's an exciting time. The Royal Rumble coming up in a week and a half. We can't wait. A couple more storylines to unfold, and then we're gonna get the Royal Rumble, a big idea of where we're headed in the future. I can't wait for it. Timmy, anything you want to say to all the Schmidt and Lavellites out there before we sign off?
Wait, what am I supposed to say here?
When you're a jabroni.
Oh yeah, that's right. Well, they all know that listening to this show, it was just too sweet, Tom. And now, when you listen to Jabroni Drive, you are certainly a jabroni for life.
For life. We appreciate you listening. New episodes every week. For Timothy Schmidt, my name is Tom Lavelle. This is Jabroni Drive. Can't wait for the Royal Rumble. We'll be covering it all leading up to it. Next week, a big episode, the go-home episode before the Royal Rumble. We'll see you live at Graham's Pub, January 27th. Have a great week. Peace.